So just one more bay round. This is Millook. Widmouth is just round that corner. But look at this rock formation. Look at the folding in the strata. Quite amazing. So Millook Bay with the tide in didn't really have much appeal to Eva. There were lots of rocks but nowhere to dig holes for them. It's quite a stony beach, just a lovely little secluded quiet beach, but we're just going for a walk up Millook Water, which is the stream that runs up this valley into that little bay. And it's nice because it's shady. This is a walk which on a blazing hot day like this, it's been really extraordinarily warm weather this week. So it's nice to have a little stroll under the trees. Dog's getting excited. That must be probably the most interesting thing that's happened today as we walk past. So this is Millook Valley. Oh, isn't that just perfect? Every now and then the stream is punctuated by a little rill like that. Just with the water cascading over a little shelf in the rocks as it drops down to a lower level. We are ascending slowly as we walk along this path. So it's not a slow river, it's quite a energetic, albeit small, downhill stream. Okay, so our path takes us out in the open for a little bit here. So we traverse this reedy field, probably quite marshy in the winter time, and across to that cottage there, and then there's a further loop. As usual, the route of our walk, I'll map it out for you, measure the distances and whatnot. That's on your screen right now. Down here we've got an orchid, rather sunburnt looking specimen, but that's an orchid of some sort, perhaps early purple. I can see a really lovely one over there, but I'm not going to traipse all the way across this marshland just to go and see it. Hopefully we'll see one closer to the path a little bit further on. In fact, this one here we can maybe get a closer look at. So there we go. Yeah, not common spotted, I don't think, so correct me if I'm wrong. There's another one there. In fact, there's quite a few of them. See, some of them could be pyramidal orchid. They've got a conical inflorescence. Quite a lovely selection of orchids here, actually. So some by the path, Or over here. A really big one there. I'll try and get an idea on that one. So this one at least is the southern marsh orchid.
That's the marsh.
But I'm not quite sure they're all the same species here, because there are some different shapes of the inflorescence. You see this one here. Well, let's have a look and see if I can identify it. That one could be pyramidal orchid, but I'm not sure. It might just be the same species and growing differently. There's a whole load of them over there. Oh, and a butterfly. Is it coming our way? No, we're not going to get to see it. I think that might be a marsh fritillary or something. Oh, we're going to get a close look. I didn't even see where it went. It was somewhere on here. Quite a large orangey coloured butterfly. Definitely not a tortoiseshell. I think that, you know, we're in a marsh. There are marsh orchids. Marsh fritillary, maybe? Anyway, loads more orchids over there. Always nice to see. Yeah, so these are all southern marsh orchid, just at different stages of development, and some of them probably with just able to produce bigger flowers. Perhaps their soil is a tiny bit more fertile where they are, or something like that. But lovely to see, and orchids are an indicator that this is an unspoiled location, because they really just need to be left alone. So this might well be grazed, but if they're grazing it, they're not heavily grazing it. So down here past what I believe is a whole field full of hemlock water dropwort. Great big marshy field. I think we should cross the river again. That looks to be the path that we come back on. But we go down this way parallel to the river. It is the school holidays this week while we're down here in Cornwall, and I'm just sparing a thought for those people toasting themselves on the beach. The beach is good. I mean, it's good clean fun, but I'm personally rather glad to be in some cool shade today. We've done some beach stuff this week already, obviously, but I'm starting to get a little bit sunburned, so we decided today we would come and have a little bit of respite from the blazing hot sun. For all the moss lovers on the channel, here is a little mossy moment for you. So just stopping and listening. I can't hear any human sounds. It's just the birds, the wind through the treetops, a little creak of some bending branch just now. and the trickling sound of the stream. And our own footsteps. Now this is interesting because this has been a bluebell wood, but the bluebells are all finished. Which is not what we're finding in other places in Cornwall. They're still in full flower, whereas here they're completely finished. So it did occur to me that maybe the reason these bluebells are finished is maybe they're Spanish bluebells, but I don't think they are. When we look at that, all of the seed pods are on one side of the stem, and that's very typical of English bluebells. They produce a drooping stem with all of the flowers on one side of the stem. As they complete their flowering, the stem does straighten up like you're seeing here, and the seed pods do tend to spread out a little bit, but I'm fairly sure these are English bluebells. It seems very unlikely that Spanish bluebells would have taken over so completely in a wood like this. Also, the remaining dried dead foliage is a lot thinner and less robust. So we turn away from the river now, uphill a little bit, and then head back on a parallel path. At the moment, next to a smaller tributary of that stream down there. Eva, do you want to go and get a little drink? Come on. Good girl. No, don't go swimming. Come on. Oh, we're to cross here actually.
Oh, right.
A slight mistake, so pleasant little detour, but the footpath map says that the path goes off this way.
There's no
From here.
sign.
No, so I think, well, I'm going to have a look on the map, but I think maybe we'll just double back the way we came. If we were to go up that way, we end up on the road, so we'll not do that. Yeah, I think there probably was a path here, but this bit here is very overgrown. There's a fallen tree that's blocking it. I can't see a path even through all of this, and there's no way I'm wading through vegetation in shorts. So we'll go back the way we came, which was very pleasant anyway. Come on, Eva. Eva. On the way back down, we'll perhaps stop and look at one or two little plants. Ideally, maybe ones I haven't stopped and identified before. For example, this. So that is wood sanicle, that plant there. Not one I've really noticed very much before, but there it is. Let's see if we can notice some other plants to identify. Okay, here's one I do recognise, but I don't often speak about. So this is Heath Speedwell. I normally think of speedwells as being blue, but this one's, well, I suppose a very, very pale blue, almost white. So this is the part where the paths diverge. I'm just going to walk up a little bit here and see if we can find the other end of that path we're supposed to loop round on, just because I want to see if it still exists. It might just be that we missed the other end. Or it might be that something has happened and the path no longer exists at all. So if that top path exists still, we should branch off to our left here somewhere any minute now. I mean, maybe that's a path, and maybe there's a path here. I'm just going to go a little bit further just to make sure that we really have covered it. Sometimes when you're under trees, GPS location stuff can be a bit iffy. No, there should be a path here. So, let's just have a quick look up here. We are way past where it should be though. Nothing. So, the map I showed you earlier in the video needs to be revised. That top loop of the end path just doesn't seem to exist. But our little diversion was not fruitless. Well, it was, but it won't be. These are wild strawberries. So there will be fruit here soon. Anyway, time to head back down. As far as I can tell, that's where the path was. I've gone back and forth to let the GPS calibrate properly. Where all of this fallen wood is, I think used to be a footpath that connected through to the other end of the bit by the little stream crossing, but just doesn't seem to be there now. And there is it's still not a path. It looked like one at a glance, but it doesn't go anywhere. So there we go. Deleted footpath, or obscured or obstructed footpath. Not traversable. At least not in shorts. So we're going to wander back down the valley now, down to Millook Bay, where we parked the car. It probably won't go on the beach because the tide's all the way in at the moment and it's just a stony beach. But it's been quite a nice walk in the shady woods. On an otherwise very hot day. As we come back to this marshy field here, here's a plant we have talked about before. This is cuckoo flower, or lady smock, Cardamine pratensis, related to bittercress, but quite a lot prettier plant. Pale white flowers here, often a more lilac shade than that. This one's quite edible. These little leaves at the side here are quite nice. Got a cress-like flavour to it. There's a few of these along here. It's a plant that does enjoy marshy conditions, and here's a different one. This is ragged robin. It's a type of campion, really, but usually a bigger plant than that. This is just a small specimen with one flower on it. That's ragged robin. There's a bigger one. footpath here traverses somebody's garden, but it is a public footpath. Here's a plant which I am sure is not welcome. This is Japanese knotweed. That's a really tricky plant. It's an invasive plant. It's almost impossible to kill. If you try to cut it down, tiny little pieces of the stem can regrow into new plants. If you try to poison it, it just goes dormant, and it can lay dormant for years and years and then suddenly sprout again. The only way to exterminate it is to carefully dig out the entire rhizome, or dig out all of the soil to like a couple of meters depth, and then remove that to a deep landfill or something. So yeah, it's a tricky plant. That bird down there, there's a dipper. Did you see it, Jenny? There's a dipper. He's gone, I think. So a little brownish bird, bit smaller than a blackbird, lighter underneath, and very much loves this kind of babbling water environment. Today, an important and pertinent little information nugget about ticks and how to deal with them. We were out for a walk in the Millook Valley, and I spotted an orchid across a bit of long grass in a marshy field. And I said, I'm not wading through that grass to get to that orchid. Unfortunately, a few yards behind me and unbeknownst to me, and without hearing me saying, I'm not wading through long grass, Jenny made the other decision to go and have a look at the orchid and get a close-up picture, which is a wonderful photo. But we were both wearing shorts, and Jenny got a tick on her leg, which is not an uncommon thing to happen if you go wading through vegetation in summer. So I had to remove the tick, and we were away from home in a little holiday cottage. Didn't have a pair of tweezers. So what is the best way to remove a tick? Well, the best way to remove a tick is not actually tweezers anyway. I've since gone and bought myself a little pocket knife just to keep in my rucksack because I didn't have one. But yeah, so you got a pair of tweezers there in this pocket knife. You could remove a tick using tweezers. It's better not to. What I actually did is made this. This is a makeshift tick hook. And so I just got a plastic bottle and I cut it using a kitchen knife that we brought with us. So a nice sharp knife, and just cut a narrow V in this piece of bottle. And the way this works is, well, I'll show you. I haven't got a tick to hand, and I couldn't obviously record the tick being removed. It was on Jenny's leg, and I'm sure Jenny wouldn't appreciate me showing you a close-up of her thigh. So anyway, there's a poppy seed. That is just a poppy seed, but it's about the size of a small deer tick. And what you do is you just identify which way the tick is facing. And in this case, we're going to assume it's facing that way. So you would see the legs sort of sticking out at this end and the abdomen sticking up like that. And literally all you do is just kind of pull the skin a little bit tight. You put the plastic V on the skin and push it along like that, and it grabs the tick and pulls it out of the skin. And it came out really, really easily. I mean, obviously that's a poppy seed. That wasn't embedded in my skin, but it was actually just as easy as that to remove the tick yesterday. So that's the best way to do it, because that removes the tick without squeezing it or distressing it. It has no time to really think about what's going on and grip on tighter. That just kind of eases it out and it's done. If you try to squeeze it with tweezers, it will cling on tighter. And also when you're squeezing it, you run the risk of ejecting fluids from the inside of the tick into your skin. And if it's a tick that happens to be carrying one of those horrible diseases that ticks do tend to carry, Lyme disease, tick-borne encephalitis, other things, you can actually get a horrible allergy called alpha-gal syndrome from tick bites that causes you to become allergic to meat, basically. So anyway, yeah, lots of reasons to remove ticks, but You don't want to distress the tick. So the folk remedies you might have heard of about burning them with a hot match or a hot pin, that will distress the tick and may cause it to eject fluids into your bloodstream. Same thing if you cover it with a blob of Vaseline to suffocate it and then it'll let go. But again, if you distress the tick like that, it may spit into your blood and that might increase your chances of getting one of those tick-borne diseases. The other thing to do is, if you've been bitten by a tick, is make sure you wash the site of the bite with soap and water or disinfectant or alcohol wipes. Just disinfect it with something. Keep an eye on the bite and watch out for a spreading radial rash, because that's an indication of Lyme disease. If you get flu-like symptoms within the first 2 weeks after the bite, that can also be an indicator of Lyme disease. If you're really concerned about the possibility of disease, then it's possibly a good idea to keep the tick. If you take that to the hospital with you, the pathology department may be able to test that tick to find out if it was carrying any of the diseases that you might be concerned about. Anyway, that's how to make a tick hook to remove deer ticks or sheep ticks. So thanks for joining us on our mostly shady wander through the Millook Valley. I hope it's been interesting. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.